Good day. In this, I'm going to talk about some signs that your answers will not fly during job interviews. And these are the type of signs that candidates usually realize only when it's a bit late, that is during the interview or only after their interview went by, right? The first sign that I talk about here is uh, people who build their stories or their interview answers in Excel. Okay, on the reasoning that you keep the situation, the task, the action, and the result. In my experience, I've not had some great results with this approach simply because it can be quite, robotic in the way you store your answers, and the results can be quite superficial. Okay, so in my experience, keeping your answers in a tabular format, be it Excel or Google Sheets or whatever, it's something you should reconsider, except if you're, applying for an executive type of role where you want to keep some, type of summary in that type of tabular format, right? The second thing I'd like to talk about here would be on the topic of clarity. So if presenting the situation and task in your answer takes longer than presenting the action itself, then that's a clear sign that your answer or your story needs more revisions. It's far from being in the best possible, in the most convincing way that you communicate your answers, right? Why would this be? Well, simply because, if you think in the star answer, the main thing is usually the action and the results, right? Whereas if you take so long to speak about the situation and task, which by the way go hand in hand, go even together, go mixed. If you remember these things, I always share these things with the star worksheet. Even employers consider the situation and task as the same thing, right? So, whereas if it takes so long to present the introduction, that's a sign that something isn't right. Right? It's not ready for prime time. Okay. The third thing I'd like to talk about here would be on the topic of outdated examples, right? So something which happened too long ago, okay, for that to be extremely relevant for your job interviews. Now, if you only have one or two of these, there's no problem with that. But I'm afraid you concerned candidates will understand exactly what I mean. So if you don't have relevant recent experience for the job, then it's also something you must work on. Okay, one of the ways you could improve this situation would be improving your interviewing skills, because this way you could open up a few more options here, such as presenting multiple examples, more recent ones as well, together with the older ones. Okay, the fourth thing I want to talk about here would be examples that are not exactly relevant for the role that you're applying for. So basically what I'm speaking about here, for example, if you're a software engineer applying for a job requiring you to build algorithms, you won't sell yourself with experiences around your web design skills. Okay, so it goes without saying, but for plenty of situations, people fail to speak to their primary area of expertise for various reasons. One of which could also be that the job description isn't clear enough to what type of expertise is required for the role. It could be as simple as you're applying for a hands-off PM and you're hands-on, right? Or you're applying for a senior manager, but you think it's a middle manager. Okay, so it could be all sorts of situations, but when giving examples that are not precisely relevant to the role that you're applying for, then that's, a question sign that you should really dive deeper into these things. Maybe ask them what type of role is this, but give the most relevant possible examples in these job interviews, because again, this is also what can make or break the show there, right? The fifth sign that your answer might need a few more revisions, or your story might not be the best for job interviews with FANG and high-performing companies would be if your answer doesn't contain metric, right? At least one metric, the most relevant metric you could sell yourself on with these things. I've throughout my my career and experience working with candidates, it's extremely rare for an answer to make sense without any quantifiable types of results. Okay, so if you don't have metrics in your answers, then something is going on there, and you should address, right? There's also the other extreme of candidates using too many irrelevant metrics in their answers. So using metrics for the sake of saying you're a data-driven candidate, that's also not gonna be the best possible approach. But metrics is something also a predictor of great answers when used correctly. And finally, number 6 would be AI. Okay, so whenever I hear someone using AI in their job interviews, that's usually not the best possible sign, right? And to explain myself, where do I come from? Well, I sell training services. I provide AI services to my candidates. And in my experience, looking at results, if you think what I said in the beginning of this video, that most candidates find this the hard way. When I look at statistics of the people who used AI at various stages of their interview prep and the ones who passed their job interviews, it's night and day that you don't pass interviews using AI. Okay, so you use AI primarily for entertainment, for a little bit of feedback here and there, but never to reward your answers and to, so to speak, polish up your communication style because you think AI rewarded answers sound better, right? I'm happy to inform that I re-educated quite a few of you. I convinced quite a few of you as candidates to stay away from AI rewarded answers and all these things, and I've had some pretty encouraging results, right? So these were my 6 signs of a bad answer. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.